Beneath the cold neon glow of Apex Global, Ethan Warrick, the powerful CEO, froze as fluent Mandarin echoed from the service floor. Stunned, he discovered the speaker was Lena Harper, a 40-year-old janitor in a dark blue uniform, overlooked for 15 years. 9 languages, brilliant intellect, yet seen only as the floor cleaner. Why was a talent like Lena buried by prejudice? Can Ethan break the barriers and bring her into the light? A gripping secret awaits, where justice and talent clash with unfairness. Stay tuned to uncover a journey that could transform Apex forever. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. Let's spread the message of fairness and talent together. The morning drizzle cast a silvery veil over Dallas, cloaking the sleek glass facade of Apex Global's headquarters as Ethan Warrick, the 45-year-old CEO, strode through the bustling lobby. At 8:15 a.m., the air hummed with the rhythm of corporate life. The sharp clack of polished shoes on marble tiles, the staccato tap of keyboards, and the faint aroma of artisanal coffee, as if ambition itself had a scent. Up on the executive floor, hints of citrus and fine leather lingered, a fragrance Ethan once jokingly called the smell of money. But today, a nagging unease tugged at him like a loose thread in the tapestry of Apex, the global conglomerate he'd nurtured from a scrappy startup into a titan of industry. Something's off, he muttered under his breath, his sharp blue eyes scanning the polished chaos around him. What are we missing? Deciding to break from routine, he headed for the service floor, a place he rarely visited, hoping to glimpse the undercurrents of his empire. In the elevator, a low, steady female voice caught his ear, speaking Mandarin with the effortless fluency of a native. Ethan's brow furrowed. He wasn't expecting international clients today. As the doors slid open, he froze. The speaker was a woman, about 40, clad in a dark blue janitor's uniform, pushing a cleaning cart through the dimly lit service corridor. Her brown hair was neatly tied back, her posture focused as she switched seamlessly to Spanish, then French, her words flowing like a melody. Ethan stood rooted, his polished loafers silent on the scuffed linoleum. Who is she? He thought, a mix of awe and disbelief washing over him. The woman ended her call, tucked the phone into her pocket, and resumed mopping the floor, oblivious to his presence. Ethan cleared his throat, stepping forward. "Hello," he said, his voice warm but edged with curiosity. "I'm Ethan Warrick from upstairs. You just spoke 3 languages, didn't you?" The woman looked up, her hazel eyes cautious but steady, assessing him as if weighing whether to trust this interruption. "Yes, I'm Lena Harper," she replied, her tone polite but guarded. "I was just helping a friend." Ethan's lips curved into a disbelieving smile. "Helping a friend with Mandarin, Spanish, and French? That's no small feat. Where did you learn to speak like that?" Lena shrugged, wiping her hands on her uniform. "Self-taught mostly. Books, conversations, practice. I've picked up a few languages over the years." Ethan's curiosity deepened, tinged with a flicker of guilt. "A few is how many exactly?" he asked, leaning against the wall, his tone softer now, inviting her to share. Lena met his gaze, her expression devoid of boastfulness. "9 languages," she said plainly, "and I can read Latin." Ethan's jaw tightened, his mind reeling as if he'd stumbled upon a hidden treasure buried in plain sight. 9 languages. The words echoed in his head, each one a spark igniting questions. "You're telling me you speak 9 languages fluently?" he pressed, unable to mask his astonishment. "How long have you worked here, Lena?" Her eyes flickered with a shadow of resignation. 15 years, she said quietly, her voice carrying the weight of countless unnoticed days. Ethan's breath caught. 15 years, he repeated, his tone sharp with disbelief. "And no one, not a single person knew about this?" Lena's faint smile held a trace of wry humor. "Most people see the uniform, Mr. Warrick. They don't ask questions." Ethan felt a pang in his chest, a mix of shame and urgency. The most extraordinary talent he'd encountered was mopping floors under his own roof, invisible to the company he'd led. "That ends today," he said, his voice firm, almost commanding. "You're coming to my office. We need to talk." Lena's grip tightened on the mop handle, her hesitation palpable. "I'm in the middle of my shift, sir," she said, her tone polite but wary. Ethan waved it off, stepping closer. "An hour, Lena. That's all I ask. I need to know more about you." She studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. Her eyes still guarded. "All right, but I don't know what you expect to hear," she said, setting the mop aside. Ethan grinned, gesturing toward the elevator. "I want to hear everything. Let's go." As they walked, a young employee pushing a trash cart spotted them, his eyes widening. "Lena, what's going on? You okay?" he called, his voice tinged with concern. Lena shook her head, offering a small smile. "I'm fine, Javier. Just talking." Javier glanced at Ethan, then back at Lena, his curiosity evident. "Talking with the big boss? Damn, Lena, you holding out on us?" Lena chuckled softly, but her expression remained guarded. "Nothing to hold out, Javi. Just a chat." Ethan noted the exchange silently. She's used to being invisible, but that's about to change. As the elevator doors closed, he caught a glimpse of Javier whispering to another worker, their heads turning toward Lena. Ethan's mind raced, sensing a seismic shift brewing. Not just for Lena, but for the entire culture of Apex Global. He knew this moment, this chance encounter, was the spark that could redefine how his company saw talent, and he was determined to fan it into a flame. The late morning sun filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Ethan Warrick's office on the 30th floor of Apex Global's Dallas headquarters, casting sharp lines of light across the polished mahogany desk. The air carried a refined blend of citrus and leather, a scent that spoke of wealth and power, but it stood in jarring contrast to the dark blue janitor's uniform worn by Lena Harper, who sat across from Ethan. Her hands were clasped tightly on the edge of the luxurious leather chair, her posture rigid, as if the opulent surroundings might swallow her whole. Lena's hazel eyes, sharp and wary, darted briefly around the room before settling on Ethan, the 45-year-old CEO whose discovery of her linguistic prowess, 9 languages spoken fluently, had left him both awestruck and unsettled. Ethan leaned back in his chair, his voice warm but laced with curiosity. "Lena, how does someone like you end up cleaning floors here at Apex?" Lena's lips curved into a faint smile, devoid of self-pity but tinged with quiet resilience. "I've been here 15 years, Mr. Warrick," she said, her tone steady. "The night shift fit my schedule, gave me time for my daughter." Ethan's brow furrowed, his mind still grappling with the revelation that this woman, hidden in plain sight, possessed such extraordinary talent. 15 years, he echoed, leaning forward, elbows resting on the desk. "And no one, not a single soul, knew you speak 9 languages? Mandarin, Spanish, French. What else?" Lena's gaze remained calm, almost matter-of-fact, as she listed Portuguese, Italian, Arabic, Russian, Japanese, and German. "I can read Latin too." Ethan's breath caught, a wave of guilt crashing over him like a tide. 9 languages. The words reverberated in his mind, each one a rebuke to the system he'd built. "Where did you learn all this?" he asked, his voice softer now, tinged with awe. "Was it college?" Lena took a deep breath, her eyes drifting to a distant memory. "I grew up in Houston, Mr. Warrick. Education was our lifeline. I earned a full scholarship to college, studied linguistics, dreamed of being an international translator. But then my mom got sick, cancer. My dad passed not long after, and I had to drop out of my master's program to take care of her." She paused, her voice softening, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through her composed exterior. "Then I became a single mom. No partner, no support. I worked whatever jobs I could, waitressing, office assistant, anything to keep food on the table. The night shift here let me be there for my daughter during the day." Ethan sat stunned, his polished exterior momentarily cracked by the weight of her story. "You raised a child alone, worked as a janitor, and still found time to master 9 languages?" he asked, his voice thick with disbelief. "Why keep going? Why languages?" Lena's gaze locked onto his, unflinching. "Because they're mine," she said, her voice steady but fierce. "No one could take them away. They make me feel alive, like I'm more than just a uniform." Ethan fell silent, a memory flashing of his own early days, scraping by on odd jobs to climb the corporate ladder. A surge of empathy tightened his chest. "Your daughter," he said gently. "How is she now?" Lena's face lit up, a rare warmth softening her features. "She's 26, a nurse. I'm so proud of her." Ethan nodded, his mind racing. "Have you ever thought about doing something else, Lena? With your talent, you should be up here, shaping our international deals, not mopping floors downstairs." Lena's smile turned bitter, her eyes shadowed with years of dismissal. I tried, Mr. Warrick, she said quietly. Years ago, I applied for office roles, even translation gigs. But when you wear this uniform, people don't see you. They don't ask, don't care. Ethan's jaw clenched, a spark of anger flaring. Not at Lena, but at the system he'd allowed to thrive under his watch. They're wrong, he said firmly, his voice carrying an edge of conviction. You're not just a cleaner, Lena. Are you ready for a bigger opportunity? Lena's eyes wavered, caught between doubt and a glimmer of hope. What could I do? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't have a degree, no office experience. I'd be out of place. Ethan waved a hand dismissively, leaning closer. You have life experience, Lena. You've navigated more challenges than most of my executives. You speak 9 languages fluently. That's a degree no university can match. Let me figure out the role. But I promise you, you won't be mopping floors forever. Lena studied him, her fingers loosening their grip on the chair. If you believe in me, I'll try, she said softly. But I don't want to waste your time, Mr. Warrick. Ethan's smile was genuine, his eyes alight with determination. You're not wasting anyone's time, Lena. You're a gem we've overlooked for far too long. As Lena stood to leave, her uniform rustling faintly, an executive assistant passing by glanced at her, then whispered to a colleague, "What's the janitor doing in Warrick's office?" Ethan caught the words, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. "She's changing how we see talent," he said coldly, his gaze silencing them. He returned to his desk, his mind buzzing with possibilities for a new role tailored to Lena's unique gifts. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. An assistant holding a file. "Sir, the Tokyo contract has translation errors. We need someone urgently." Ethan's eyes gleamed. "Get Lena Harper on it," he said without hesitation. He knew this moment wasn't just about transforming Lena's future. It was the spark that would reshape the soul of Apex Global. The rain clouds had parted over Dallas, leaving a crisp clarity in the air outside Apex Global's towering headquarters, but within Ethan Warrick, the 45-year-old CEO, a tempest of curiosity and resolve surged following his morning encounter with Lena Harper, the 40-year-old janitor, whose dark blue uniform had concealed her mastery of 9 languages: Mandarin, Spanish, French, Portuguese, Italian, Arabic, Russian, Japanese, German, and the ability to read Latin. For 15 years had left an indelible mark on him. "We've been blind to a treasure," Ethan muttered, pacing his office, unable to shake Lena's story. A girl from Houston's poorest streets, armed with a college scholarship and dreams of becoming an international translator, only to have her aspirations crushed by family illness and the weight of single motherhood. Her resilience, learning languages despite grueling night shifts, ignited a fire in Ethan. He knew he had to act, and fast, to right this oversight. By late afternoon, Ethan made his way to the service floor, where the sharp scent of pine-scented floor cleaner mingled with the rhythmic creak of cleaning carts. The fluorescent lights cast a stark glow on the scuffed linoleum, a world apart from the citrusan leather elegance of the executive suites. Lena was restocking supplies, her movements precise, when she caught sight of Ethan. Her hazel eyes widened, a flicker of surprise breaking her usual calm. "Mr. Warrick, is something wrong?" she asked, her voice cautious, tinged with the wariness of someone accustomed to being overlooked. Ethan's face broke into a warm smile. "Not at all, Lena. I need your help urgently. We've got a critical meeting with our Sao Paulo office at 4. You speak Portuguese, don't you?" Lena nodded, but her fingers tightened around a stack of towels, betraying her unease. "Yes, but I've never translated professionally. Just for friends, neighbors, you know," she said, her voice trailing off. Ethan stepped closer, his tone firm but encouraging. "I don't need a professional, Lena. I need you. Meeting room, 25th floor, 4 o'clock. Are you in?" Lena's gaze darted to the cart, then back to Ethan, her lips parting as if to protest. "I'm not sure I belong in a room like that, Mr. Warrick," she said softly, her voice laced with doubt. Ethan met her eyes, his conviction unwavering. "You belong wherever your talent takes you, Lena. Trust me on this. Let's go." At precisely 4 p.m., Lena stepped into the sleek meeting room, her janitor's uniform a stark contrast to the tailored suits of the executives seated around the glass table. Curious glances followed her, and one executive, a man with a silver tie, raised an eyebrow, muttering to his colleague, "She's a janitor." Ethan's voice cut through the murmurs, sharp and authoritative. "This is Lena Harper, the best asset we have for this meeting." He nodded to Lena, who took a deep breath and began translating, her voice steady and fluid. She didn't just convey the Brazilian team's words, she infused them with cultural nuance, slipping in a well-timed quip that drew hearty laughter from the São Paulo executives. "She gets our culture," one executive said, his eyes wide with admiration. "She's better than any translator we've ever had." Another chimed in, grinning. "Can we borrow her for our next meeting in Rio?" Lena's cheeks flushed, but she kept her composure, her translation seamless. As the meeting wrapped, Ethan pulled Lena aside in the hallway, the hum of post-meeting chatter fading behind them. "How do you feel?" he asked, his voice gentle but eager. Lena's lips curved into a soft smile, her eyes brighter than he'd ever seen. "Like I belong here," she admitted, then paused, her brow furrowing. "But I still don't get why you picked me, Mr. Warrick." "I'm just me." Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder, his tone earnest. "Because you're the talent Apex has been sleeping on, Lena. I want you as our cultural liaison for international relations. Full-time upstairs. What do you say?" Lena froze, her eyes widening as if the words were too big to grasp. "Me? But I don't have a degree, no office experience, nothing like that." Her voice wavered, a mix of hope and fear. Ethan shook his head, his voice resolute. "You have resilience, life experience, and 9 languages. That's worth more than any degree. You're not just a janitor, you never were." Lena's breath hitched and she nodded slowly, her voice barely above a whisper. "If you believe in me, I'll try. But what will people say when they see a janitor sitting upstairs?" Ethan's grin was defiant. "Let them talk. We'll prove them wrong together." As Lena walked away, her uniform rustling faintly, a Brazilian executive approached Ethan, still beaming. "Who is she?" She didn't just translate. She transformed that meeting. Ethan's eyes followed Lena's retreating figure. "She's the future of Apex," he said, his voice carrying quiet certainty. Back in his office, Ethan's mind buzzed with plans to carve out a role for Lena, but his assistant's voice broke through via intercom. "Sir, the Tokyo office just flagged a contract with major translation errors. It's urgent." Ethan leaned back, a knowing smile spreading across his face. "Get Lena Harper on it. She's our fix." He glanced out the window at the Dallas skyline, sensing a seismic shift brewing, not just for Lena, but for the entire culture of Apex Global. The whispers in the hallways, the skeptical glances. None of it mattered. Lena's talent was a spark, and Ethan was determined to let it ignite a revolution. The neon glow of Dallas's skyline spilled through the towering windows of Apex Global's executive floor, illuminating the new office of Lena Harper, the 40-year-old former janitor whose fluency in 9 languages had catapulted her from the service floor to the role of cultural liaison. Ethan Warrick, the 45-year-old CEO, had seen her potential, a brilliance buried for 15 years beneath a dark blue janitor's uniform, and his decision to promote her sent shockwaves through the company. Whispers of curiosity, skepticism, quiet support, and veiled resentment rippled across cubicles and boardrooms, with some murmuring, a janitor in the C-suite. "What's Warrick thinking?" Lena, undeterred, stepped into her office, her crisp white blouse a stark departure from her old uniform, though she kept her worn janitor's badge tucked in a drawer, a silent testament to her journey. The weight of her new role pressed against her, but her resolve, honed by years of adversity, held firm. On her first day, Lena faced Victor Langston, the head of international operations, whose tailored suit and cold smile exuded authority. He leaned back in his chair, sizing her up. "Welcome, Harper," he said, his tone dripping with condescension. "Heard you're the new star, but this isn't the cleaning crew. Ever tackled an international contract?" Lena met his gaze, her voice calm but steely. "Not in an office, Mr. Langston, but I've translated Arabic for hospitals and fixed contract errors for government agencies. Give me a task and I'll get it done." Victor's eyebrow arched, a flicker of surprise crossing his face before he slid a thick stack of documents across his desk. "This Arabic contract's a mess. Fix it by Monday if you can." Lena's lips curved faintly, her confidence unshaken. "You'll have it by tomorrow evening," she said, gathering the papers with a nod. Victor leaned forward, his voice low. "Don't get too comfortable, Harper. This floor eats people like you alive." Lena held his stare. "I've survived worse," she replied, turning to leave. A greater test loomed when Lena was summoned to meet Eleanor Vance, a board member whose stern demeanor and allegiance to Apex's rigid traditions made her a formidable gatekeeper. In a chilly office lined with mahogany bookshelves, Eleanor peered over her wire-rimmed glasses, her voice clipped. "Ms. Harper, you lack a degree, management credentials, any formal corporate training. Do you honestly believe you belong in this role?" Lena's heart pounded, but she straightened, her voice sharp and unwavering. "I don't need a degree to bridge cultures, Mrs. Vance. This week alone, I corrected an Arabic contract and resolved a 2-month dispute for our Sao Paulo team. My results outweigh any diploma." Eleanor's eyes narrowed, her silence heavy with scrutiny. "Results are one thing," she countered, "but do you understand the nuances of corporate culture?" Lena's faint smile carried a quiet defiance. "I know how to make Brazilians laugh, Arabs respect you, and Japanese nod in agreement. That's the culture I bring, and it's working." Eleanor leaned back, her expression flickering with reluctant hesitation. "We'll see how long your results hold," she said, dismissing Lena with a curt nod. Outside, Lena's pulse raced, and she slipped into the stairwell, pulling out her phone to call her daughter. "I'm okay, sweetheart," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "But they're not rolling out the red carpet." Her daughter's warm voice came through, steady and fierce. "You're the toughest woman I know, Mom. Show them what you got." Lena smiled, her resolve reigniting. "Thanks, baby. I'm not backing down." The next morning, she delivered the revised Arabic contract to Victor's desk, a full day early. He skimmed it, his jaw tightening as he nodded reluctantly. "Not bad, Harper," he muttered. "But don't think this place gets easier." Lena's eyes glinted with quiet strength. "I don't expect easy, Mr. Langston. I expect fair." As she walked away, a young intern, barely 20, slipped a folded note under her office door. Lena opened it, her breath catching at the scrawled words. "Ms. Harper, we see you. Keep shining." She tucked the note beside her janitor's badge, a spark of hope cutting through the pressure. Later that day, Ethan stopped by her office. His suit slightly rumpled from a long day, but his eyes bright with admiration. "Lena, word's out about your showdown with Vance," he said, leaning against the doorframe. "How are you holding up?" Lena shrugged, a wry smile tugging at her lips. "I'm still standing, Mr. Warrick. She's tough, but I face tougher storms." Ethan laughed, the sound warm and genuine. "That's the spirit we need. You're shaking up Apex, Lena, and this is just the beginning." Lena's gaze softened, but her voice carried a quiet urgency. "If I make it here, I want to pull others up with me. There are more like me down there, overlooked." Ethan's expression grew serious, filled with respect. "We'll make that happen, Lena. Together." He stepped back, giving her a nod. "Keep pushing." As Ethan walked away, Lena stood by her window looking out at the Dallas skyline, the city's lights mirroring the fire within her. She wasn't just an employee, she was a catalyst. A spark igniting a transformation in Apex Global's culture. The whispers in the hallways, the skeptical glances, even the notes of support. All of it fueled her. She glanced at her old badge, then back at the horizon, knowing this was only the start of a revolution that would redefine how Apex saw talent, from the service floor to the boardroom. The rain had stopped as Ethan Caldwell stood before the rundown apartment complex on the outskirts of Seattle where Sophia Bennett and her sons, Lucas and Tommy, lived. The building's peeling walls and dim hallways stood in stark contrast to Ethan's luxurious downtown life, where Bella Vita Bistro shone like a jewel. The previous night's accusations from Lucas that Ethan had stolen Sophia's recipes, forced her out of the restaurant, and destroyed her career still echoed in his mind. Guilt surged within him, though his memories of the events from 10 years ago remained hazy. "I owe her an explanation and more," he muttered, knocking on Sophia's apartment door. The door creaked open, revealing Sofiette, her faded blonde hair framing a weary but sharp gaze, as if she'd steeled herself for this confrontation. "What are you doing here, Ethan?" she asked, her voice icy, arms crossed tightly. Ethan took a deep breath, his tone earnest. "Ms. Bennett, I want to understand what happened. Your son said I stole your recipes, pushed you out of Bella Vita, and ruined your career. If that's true, I'm sorry, but I need to hear from you." Sophia gave a bitter scoff, her eyes burning with resentment. "You really don't remember? Or are you pretending? 10 years ago, I was your sous chef. I created the signature ragu and tiramisu everyone loved. But you took all the credit, left my name off the menu. When I demanded recognition, you said I wasn't a good fit, and let me go. After that, no restaurant would hire me. I heard you badmouth me in the industry." Ethan froze, fragmented memories surfacing, a heated argument with Sophia about the menu, then her abrupt departure. He thought she left for a better opportunity, unaware of the devastating fallout. "Sophia, I swear, I didn't badmouth you," he said, his voice rough. "I didn't know it went that far. I thought you left to find a new place. If I was wrong, I want to make it right." Sophia shook her head, her voice trembling with suppressed anger. "Make it right? You think an apology erases 10 years of working at a grocery store, giving up my passion for cooking, raising 2 kids alone? All because of you?" Lucas, standing at the bedroom door, interrupted. His eyes red. "Mom, don't talk to him. He just wants to feel better about himself." Tommy, the younger boy, tugged at his brother's arm. "Lucas, calm down. Maybe he really wants to help." Ethan met Sophia's gaze. "I'm not just apologizing. I want you back at Bella Vita as co-head chef with full creative control and the credit you deserve. You've earned it." Sophia blinked. Caught off guard, her eyes wavering between doubt and a faint glimmer of hope. "You think I'll trust you after everything?" she asked, her voice shaking. "I don't expect you to trust me right away." Ethan replied, "But let me prove it. I'll publicly acknowledge your story, ensure your name's on the menu in Bella Vita's history." Lucas stepped forward, still hostile. "You really want to help my mom? Or just clear your conscience?" Ethan looked at the boy, his voice steady. "I want to help your mom because she's talented. And because I was wrong not to give her credit. Lucas, I know you don't trust me, but let me try." Sophia stayed silent, her gaze shifting to her sons. Tommy spoke softly, "Mom, try it. Maybe he's not as bad as we thought." After a long pause, Sophia nodded. "Fine, I'll consider it. But if you don't follow through, I won't forgive you." Ethan nodded, a spark of hope igniting. "Tomorrow, come to Bella Vita. I'll have everything ready." The following days were a whirlwind of action. Ethan contacted food critics and organized a small press conference at Bella Vita, publicly acknowledging Sophia's contributions to the restaurant's iconic dishes. The ragu and tiramisu were Sophia Bennett's creations, he said to the crowd, his voice heavy with regret. "I was wrong not to credit her. Now she'll be co-head chef with full creative control." Sophia stood beside him, initially tense, her eyes still wary. "You sure about this, Ethan?" she asked before the event began. "I don't want to come back just to be sidelined again." Ethan met her gaze. "I promise, Sophia. Your name will be celebrated, not just on the menu, but in every success of Bella Vita." She nodded, her expression softening, as if a weight had begun to lift. Sophia returned to the kitchen, where she'd shown 10 years earlier. First, she worked in silence but gradually regained confidence, collaborating with Ethan to craft new dishes that blended her bold style with his refined technique. One evening, they launched Bennett's Ragu, named in her honor, earning gasps of delight from diners. "This dish is a masterpiece," one critic wrote, "a collaboration between Caldwell and Bennett that proves talent and integrity." Bella Vita became a focal point, garnering glowing reviews and soaring revenue. Lucas and Tommy started visiting the restaurant regularly, at first to keep an eye on their mom, but soon warming up. One evening after a shift, Lucas approached Ethan, his hostility softened. "I guess I was wrong about you, a little." Ethan chuckled, clapping the boy's shoulder. "I'll take that little, Lucas. You and Tommy want to try the new tiramisu? Your mom made it." Tommy cheered. "For real? Mom's the best." Sophia, nearby, smiled for the first time in years, her eyes bright as she watched her boys. "Thank you, Ethan," she said softly. "Not just for the job, but for listening. I didn't think I'd forgive you, but maybe I was wrong." Ethan nodded, feeling a peace he hadn't known before. "You are wrong to be angry, Sophia, but I hope we can start fresh." She nodded, her eyes gleaming. "Maybe we can." A month later, Bella Vita wasn't just a restaurant, it was a symbol of reconciliation. Ethan and Sophia led the team together, crafting a new menu that blended their creative visions. The story at Bella Vita Bistro delivers a profound lesson about honesty, accountability, and the power of redemption. Ethan Caldwell, once a disconnected CEO, confronted his past mistakes when he learned he had unwittingly harmed Sophia Bennett, stripping her of opportunities and passion. His journey to make amends, publicly acknowledging Sophia's contributions, restoring her rightful place, and rebuilding trust, shows that justice isn't just about punishment but about creating opportunities for healing. Sophia, with her resilience in raising her 2 sons and clinging to her passion, exemplifies the strength of perseverance. The takeaway is clear: facing mistakes, listening, and taking concrete action can transform lives, not just for individuals but for entire communities. Bella Vita didn't just recover, it became a symbol of integrity and collaboration. Like, share, and subscribe to catch more inspiring and dramatic stories. Let's spread the message of fairness and